Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson and Chuck Schultz, and welcome.
How we doing?
All right.
Yeah. What a weekend, huh?
Dominance at the paperclip.
That's yeah. That's like I said. I mean, that's the old Rusty Wallace team, the Penske team.
Yeah.
They got those short tracks down, boy. They know them.
500 lap race. Brad Keselowski leads 446 of those laps.
Well, he had to pit, right?
Yeah.
And that's really where he probably lost it.
That's the only place.
Until it came around.
Yeah, until it cycled out. It's amazing. It's amazing. And that's if you've never been there, it's two drag strips with a corner.
With a couple of corners, yeah.
And if you had a drone or an aerial view, the place looks like a paperclip.
It's tight.
Very tight.
Yeah. I remember reading an article years ago, Rusty was saying that he would just get down and he would go down into the turn, spin the car, and just jump on the gas.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. That's what you do there.
And you just, because the corners are tight. There used to be a 4-inch curb. Now it's a 3-inch curb because when they repaved and did some work to it. And when you caught that curb, you were all out of whack.
Yeah.
All out of whack.
Well, it's always a good thing, though, if you're having a hard time turning, though.
Yeah.
Can always bounce off that thing. I've done that before in the past.
Tonight we're going to talk about Martinsville and Keselowski's dominance there, and we have, of course, the results with the Camping World Truck Series and the Gander Outdoor Series. Some changes in qualifying, because qualifying, as you may or may not know, has been, to put it nicely, diabolical. And we'll talk about that a little bit. We got some news out of the Touring Series with the Modifieds and the K&N Pro Series East. And then we'll just go into our normal racing stuff, chat, and we'll wrap this up and get it right back on their way. So we're going to go right into Martinsville. Martinsville dominance on the paperclip, as we said. It was a race. I watched dribs and drabs of it. It didn't live up to its normal potential, as Keselowski and Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch just took away. They
left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they checked up and just went. You know?
They started freight training.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like you got to pick up the draft there. It's driver and horsepower and handling. But here's how the results looked at Martinsville for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Brad Keselowski, as we've been talking about, was the winner, followed by Chase Elliott. Kyle Busch third. Ryan Blaney was fourth. Denny Hamlin fifth. Kevin Harvick was sixth. Clint Boyer seventh. Martin Truex Jr. eighth. Eric Almirola ninth. And Daniel Suarez rounding out the top 10. You know, it's, I think 500 laps is a bit long.
We said that, but I mean, you know, you got all of the heavy hitters. Denny Hamlin's good at the short tracks as well, so they're all coming up to the top. You know.
Yeah, he was my favorite for that race. I really thought he was going to pull it off in his backyard. He's from that area.
Yeah.
And I really thought he was going to pull it off. But like you said earlier, the Penske cars seem to do very well there.
Yeah, they have it. They've been hooked up for years.
You know, they've done their homework.
They have. Whatever they did, they just they hit it.
And you know, and I'll tell you what, I've always said pure horsepower will beat out any other form of racing at any time.
You know what? You still got to get it to the tires. You got to get it to the track. So.
And obviously they are. It's kind of interesting how they do that.
I mean, I had plenty of horsepower. I spent my time sideways a lot.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting it to the track.
Well, loose is fast, I've been told. I've been told that.
That's what they say. Loose is fast, but I was too loose.
You know that I was just a flip the switches, press the button, and go type of guy. And I would be able to communicate what it was doing, But if you were to say to me, put some wedge here,
Fix this,
you know,
fix that.
Nah, I had no idea.
Yeah, I was the fix-it guy, so.
Yeah, I could tell him what it was doing, but if I were to say, this is what we need to do, let's do it. No. Now, if I broke it, I could fix it, but I couldn't, like...
Yeah, if it was bent, you could pull it out, put a new one in.
Yeah,
but
pretty
you
much.
couldn't set it up.
Yeah, no, I had no clue.
Looks good. Let's do it.
You know, I'd put the barometer thing on the tires, and and then I check the temps. All right, well, it's cold here and hot there, so I guess I got to move it a little bit. And I always went the wrong way, and
The camber gas now?
Oh yeah, no, I had no clue. I had people. I had guys that did that. I had people for that. I did. I would tear that thing up. Because remember, I was working out of state, and I'd left Sunday mornings, it's Sunday afternoon, so I'd wad it up in a ball. I'd go home, go to sleep, go get on my plane and go to work on Sunday and come back Thursday night.
And somehow it was fixed.
And somehow I'd get to the shop or the garage, and the car would be on jack stands like it was the previous Friday before I wadded it up. I don't know. I guess I was lucky. People I don't know, they must have felt that they needed to help me. I have that face.
Yeah, that wasn't me. I was like the guy who was there till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Sleeping in the van, getting a couple hours of shut-eye before we got loaded up and went to the racetrack on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
That type of thing.
You were very hands-on.
Oh, yeah.
Very hands-on. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, we fabricated and everything. Yeah.
As we said earlier, the Gander Outdoor Truck Series was also at Martinsville. We have results from there as well. And looking at those results, no surprise there. Kyle Busch, imagine that, is the winner, followed by Ben Rhodes. Brett Moffitt is third. Ross Chaston was fourth. Stewie Friesen was fifth. Myatt Snyder was sixth. Grant Enfinger, seventh. Matt Crafton, eighth. Johnny Sorter, ninth. And Bubba Wallace rounding out the top 10, his only truck start this year.
All right. Hey, top 10?
Yeah.
Take that.
He had a 17th in the Cups race, I believe, which isn't a bad finish. They're struggling. That team's struggling.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they're struggling.
You think they're just getting it fleshed out?
Well,
it's the second year, though.
This is the second year. In some places, it's their third time to these tracks. I've been a Richard Petty fan most of my life, and I'll say all of my racing life, because when I first started following the races on Wide World of Sports, and I was like 6 or 7, and they have a 4-hour race and show like 15 minutes in the beginning and maybe 15 minutes in the end and a couple of crashes. And
they used to show, Wide World of Sports. Yeah.
And Richard Petty was dominating the sport back then.
Yeah, all you saw was the STP car in front.
I mean, winning races by laps, not just by seconds. So.
Yeah, well, I was,
I became a Richard Petty fan.
Old NASCAR. Of course I was a Richard Petty fan.
Yeah, Richard Petty fan. I mean, I never got into the new, I'm going to say the modern era drivers. It's still, if my worst enemy drove Richard Petty's car, I'd still be a Richard Petty fan. It's a loyalty thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a loyalty thing. But looking at the truck.
Well, as a kid, if somebody gave you an STP sticker, that was your favorite car anyway.
Oh, exactly.
So you were done.
Yeah.
All right, I got a sticker. It says STP on it. I think that's how I became a Richard Petty fan. I was, believe it or not, trick-or-treating, and somebody was giving out stickers. I got an STP, and I got a Goodyear sticker. I think I stistill have them.
Wow.
I never stuck them on anything. I think I put them on my cork board, you know what I mean, one of those deals. And that's how I became a Richard Petty fan.
There was a race at ISA Speedway. I must have been all of 8 or 9. And Richard Petty and Bobby Allison were battling out. They were lapping the field.
That would have been nice to see there.
So a caution comes out, and allegedly, the way the story goes, Bobby Allison rolls up to him as they reline the field, and he's doing this, like he has a flat. So Richard pulls in. He doesn't have a flat. He now is at the tail end. He ends up finishing second anyway because he had all those laps ahead, but Bobby Allison wins. They're up in the press box at ISA Speedway. Bobby Allison's up there with his crew chief or whatnot and doing the interview for the papers or whatever.
Right.
And he comes out, and there's Maurice Petty, Richard's cousin. Lays him out. I mean, boom, bam. And now there's a brawl. And of course, the Pettys won. and they lost the race, but they won the battle. And I'm like, this is cool. I'm gonna root for Richard Petty now.
So that was how you that's how you become a fan.
That was it. That was it. But yeah, it was a different time. It was a good time, and and whoever showed up raced, and this charter system's killing the sport. Only 36 teams went to Martinsville, and that race is in their backyard. Their backyard. There was only 36 teams. The charter teams. They're the only ones that showed up.
Really?
Yeah, that was a mistake. That was a mistake.
Did Baldwin show up?
No. He's concentrating on his modifieds, pretty much.
Really?
Some select races and stuff. But you look at this, I'm like, I understand why they did the charter thing, because some of the bigger teams and the big dollar teams, they want to be guaranteed into these races, which I don't really think it's fair either, because years ago, 60, 70 cars would show up and they'd start 43.
You know, it's hard, but that was years ago, and now it's so different because, and I feel what you're saying about the whole charter thing, but at the same token, if they get there and some of these teams don't get in, what about their sponsors that are supporting them to come back to the next races?
Oh, definitely.
There's so many things in play now, and I don't pretend to know it all, but at the same token, I can tell you, and I'm sure you see it when you look at the stands, is unless they're little kids that are there with mom and dad, there aren't a lot of millennials there. There's a big gap of people there, and then you're losing everything.
Yeah.
I was actually informed. I did not go to Bike Week, but Bike Week happened in Daytona, right? Well, they were
right after Daytona.
At Martinsville, right? Well, Bike Week happened. I know people that went, and I was told that, they had 300,000 people last year there. This year they had about 50,000 people.
Wow.
That was an estimate by the people that were there.
Of course.
But at the same token, if they would have said, listen, there was half as many people there, that's still 150,000 people.
Right.
They didn't say that. They said there was about 50,000 people there.
Yeah.
And last year, they couldn't walk down the streets because it was packed.
Right.
And this year they're just walking willy-nilly wherever they want to go, like nothing's going on.
Wow.
And I said, well, there were a lot of young kids there, or he said a little bit, of the younger kids on the jet bike type stuff.
Yeah.
But not that many.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, are they just not into this type of stuff? Racing being one of it, you know?
Well, they can play it on their TV now, and they can buy the simulators, and they think they're race car drivers.
It looks pretty real. I haven't played it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, I did one. I was at a race in the Midway. They had it, and there's fans built into the seat that blow air on there to simulate that you're driving. Whatever you do with the steering wheel, the seat does. Whatever you do with the pedals, the seat does. If you start spinning, the seat goes all crazy. And I remember Bobby Sater, he ran a late model up in New York and here at Riverhead Raceway, and he's down there working for a team. And he told me one time, whatever your butt's doing, that's what your car is doing. So if your butt slide in the seat, your car is sliding. If your butt slide or forward in the seat, you're pushing. And he put it in simple terms, and I was like, wow, I never thought of that. Because whatever your butt's doing, that's
I really never paid attention to that.
Yeah. I mean, you should be tight enough that your butt's not sliding around, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, because whatever you feel your butt doing, that's what your car's doing.
Interesting.
Anyway, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some milestones and also this qualifying format that NASCAR seems to be having a problem with, and that nobody seems to like, but everybody seems to love, depending on which side of the gate you're on. We'll be right back when we're talking about that.
Hey, what's that? Oh, I was going to say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Up, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Hey, Kyle Busch is in the Cup Series race. That was his 1,000th national start, including the national starts are the Cup, the Xfinity, and the Gander Outdoor.
Well, we said it was what, 19 years?
Yeah.
He's been racing?
Yep. So
It's been that long already. Wow.
You know, you look. A lot of people are still doing that comparison thing, and you know how many wins he has and how many wins Richard Petty had, and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? It was a total different era, and you can have arguments on both sides that you know Kyle Busch has the opportunity in most weekends to race 3 National Series races, where back in the day, you know, Richard Petty could only race 1. However, they ran 50 to 60 races a year, all over creation, and
35,
Busch is
32.
only running like 36. So when you do the comparison, it's apples to oranges, but it was a whole different era. You know,
Yeah, it was a different time.
A different time. It's like, you know, it's like making a comparison. If Dale Earnhardt Sr. was alive today, how would he be competing with these people today? You can't make that. The cars were different. The rules were different.
There's a lot of differences.
A lot of
but I mean,
variables.
can you really, I don't know, can you compare them?
I don't know.
I don't know if you can compare them, but I guess you could say, you know, percentage of wins based on races, but like you said, the cars are different, everything's different now.
Everything's different.
The competitors are different. I mean, you know, you're talking about different people altogether.
And these guys in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they weren't going into the sport at 19 years old. They were more...
They were older guys.
Older.
Yeah.
And more established. And also back then, if you...
They had problems with millennials back then, too, then.
Yeah, they did.
They didn't call them millennials. What did they call them?
Yeah, what did they call them back then? It was different. We'll come up with it.
We'll have to come up with something.
Yeah, we'll come up with it. But you know, you go back to those days. I mean, you look at the Flock brothers. They were like old. You know, and you look at the pictures. They're not kids. They're not like skinny little kids and in little.
They're older
t-shirts.
guys.
They're older guys, and they made their living racing.
The younger guys were probably on the beach.
Oh yeah.
Sun tanning. And the older guys were on the beach racing.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in their days. You know, the old back in the day. And I always say, I never thought I would say that when I was younger, you know, because there was always these 2 old guys that sat in front of me at the races with their plaid jackets and their not matching shirt, plaid shirt,
like the
colors.
2 old guys from the Muppets.
Yeah.
In the balcony.
Yeah, and they'd be sitting there, you know, hey, Pete, back in my day, you know, and I said, I hope I'm never that guy. And I turned into
Back in my day, we raced with 3 tires. We didn't have none of this 4-tire stuff.
Yeah, and we did 100 lappers every week. Now, what's this 35 lap stuff? But yeah, it was but pretty cool. But anyway, it's according to NBC Sports, I found this little snippet during the week, NASCAR's chief racing development officer, Steve O'Donnell, said, and this was last week, tweaks to group qualifying could come as early as the next race. It did. New qualifying was started with Texas. Any driver that does not take a lap in any of the qualifying rounds will have all previous posted times in the session disallowed, which means they'll be starting in the back. And the times will not count. And when you start in the back, you're starting 36th, 35th, because it could be more than one guy, I'm sure. Also, any driver who blocks pit road, which has happened, at NASCAR's discretion, if they prohibited other drivers from exiting pit road, they will incur a penalty, including disallowing their times. Because sometimes they won't let another guy go out. They'll block pit road, making it so that guy has to go on the grass or go around into the boxes. So they realize this group qualifying might not be working. And that's not a good team. That's definitely not a good team. You know, they really have to take a look at that. And that's not good. Because at the last race, 12 Cup teams never took a lap before time expired. Really? On that last segment. Therefore, they were in.
They went to the back.
Why waste time? Why waste energy? They pretended to go. They got on pit road, and they inched forward. But you know what? They didn't break the rules. They used the rules to their advantage. And like back in the official days, the driver's job is to push the envelope, and the official's job is to seal it up. And you know, NASCAR is continually, Steve O'Donnell is, you know, he's got his hands in the trenches, continuously trying to make it better. Make the rules a little bit, because Brian France was just making rules like, you know, sitting there having cocktails and saying, oh, let's make this rule. Yeah. And here's a guy that never raced, never hung around the racetrack, to my knowledge, and even as president didn't hang around. He was not a presence in the garage area, which a lot of the teams had been discussing. And speaking of discussion, I hear Jack Roush and Rick Hendrick meeting to try to get NASCAR to help them cut their cost.
How are they going to do that?
Well,
I've always... How do you stay competitive and cut your costs?
Right. I've always said it's hard to go backwards. How do you go
at
backwards?
That level, that's got to be...
Without building all new cars and all new motors. I don't know how that's going to work. But the two of the more successful teams, owners, are get together and say, hey, what can we do? I'm thinking one of the things you could do is not buy 17 sets of tires.
Run crate motors?
Yeah, nah, because somebody's making money on crate motors, trust me. But I really do. Do you need 17 sets of tires? No, manage your tires, and you save money right there.
I mean, when you think about it, what does it take? I mean, they're going with 2 cars, they're going with 2 motors, they're probably taking a backup motor, right?
Yep.
All the equipment and everything else to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, cars got to be what, about $150,000.
Easy.
With the motor and everything else that's in it, and paying people, tire bill.
Yeah, insurance.
The insurance for what you're doing.
These guys are legitimate businesses. They're not just a guy going out there getting a 1099.
You gotta be, and just preparing cars in the shop and the overhead and the guys back at the shop. Even on a small scale, but the bigger guys, you probably got to be looking at somewhere $500,000 to $1 million for a race.
Per race.
To put it together.
Yeah, it cost about, for a top full season primary sponsor, they got to come up with like $25 million for a primary sponsor. Especially for I would say the top 12, 15 teams. Because that's the number that
they're probably looking at $1 million a race just to show up.
Oh, yeah.
How do you cut those costs? How do you stay on the top of the envelope, be a premier series and cut costs? How do you do that?
Yeah. Shorter races, less tires.
Shorter races, less tires. That's,
You know, a set of
less
tires.
fuel as well.
Is, you
I
know,
mean, is that really going to make or break it? It's not like it's going to cut anything in half.
Yeah, it's not going to make or break it. But you know, you got to start somewhere, and I think that's where you really have to start.
You think that's
and
really
you need to
be
go back to stock cars. For me, and again, I'm not a mechanic. I'm not, you know, I'm not one of those guys. But
what are you saying? I can just grab the Hyundai Sonata and bring it right
I'm
out?
thinking, throw some numbers on it. My Ford Fusion, you know,
You
ran.
can do that. I got a Magic Walker.
But when you think about it, you know, do you know of a Toyota Camry with rear-wheel drive, two-door, and a V8?
Yeah, but do you know of any? How many four-door Mustangs you know of?
Zero.
It's, you know, again, it's, I understand there's got to be marketing involved. There's got to be people involved to pay for this thing.
Right.
So you gotta give a little, take a little. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
You know, they just wanted Toyota in the mix, and they got it. And you know, and I can remember being in the R&D center at Concord, North Carolina, and
why did they stop there? Why did they stop at Toyota? Why didn't they get, say, Honda and the rest of these companies involved?
I'm sure that they didn't want to have the involvement.
You don't think it couldn't make it happen?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure NASCAR would have took them in, because you know, you don't just become like the official car of that series without putting up some bucks.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to do something. What do you do? I mean,
Yeah, because I know the templates. Because when I was in the R&D center, the templates for the stock car, the Camry, now the Mustang and the Camaros, the template when it drops onto the roof, rear deck, hood, has to match the race car and vice versa. The same thing with the truck. You know, the trucks have to match up. And if it doesn't, they got to make it so it does. And
Bondo, fill it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. And, you know, I don't know. And one
So
of
the
the people,
bodies have to be mounted perfect.
yeah.
I mean, boy, damn near.
And now it's all done with lasers. I mean, this whole big thing comes down, and it kind of goes over so many parts of the car, and then the lasers, and I think, if I'm not mistaken from memory, the tolerance was 3/32 of an inch, which is really nothing.
It's not too big, but
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta, you know, that's like just under a 1/4 inch.
whack it with a mallet.
Yeah, that's what they have to do. But you know, it's like Rich just said in Facebook Live. He said, you know, trying to come up with a way to save money in racing is like trying to solve world peace, because everybody's going to have their thought.
That's what I'm saying. You're at the higher levels. I mean, there's just, you know, like I said, it's a big picture. We just can't. I can't fathom. You know, I can't even give any suggestions. It's like even the local tracks, you know, they do like a strictly stock division. I get a kick out of it because it's like the cars that people want to race are not in production anymore.
Right.
And you can't get parts for these things.
No.
So how do you get the stock parts for a stock car that doesn't exist anymore? That, you know, you got to go to the junkyards and try to dig them up. I get that, but when you got, you know, 40 competitors out there that are all trying to dig up the same parts.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that I could do. I could make body panels because I had the original one, and I just made a template.
That's one of the things that people do, but you're not supposed to.
Right, and I can remember rolling into tech. You know, I wasn't the favorite son at Riverhead back 10 years ago. And I'd roll in and I go through tech, and no homemade bodies. And I said, if you measure that body up down to the bend lines and the lines on the side, it's the same exact as the original Impala. As another car went by, it was clearly panels of sheet metal. Tell me what make and model that is. But you're not breaking his shoes, you're breaking mine.
Well, that's the other hard part too, because body panels, where do you get them? You're going to be using them up.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we crashed a lot in the beginning, so we just took the crash panels, made them flat, and made it a template.
But see, when you think about that even at the lower levels where you have those restrictions, people still have to spend more money for those parts, and it brings the price up.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a guy who's, you know, bringing home $500-600 a week, and I'm going to go out and race. It's not happening.
Yeah, I just want to go have fun.
And it's probably why there's not a lot of youngins racing at the local levels.
Exactly.
But on these levels, you know, you're talking about, you know, which I always thought was, like the modifieds almost have more of an advantage than the Cup cars because they got everything you could throw at these things.
Oh, yeah.
In those cars.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas the Cup cars, there's no wide fives.
No.
Not that you probably want to run them on a super speedway anyway.
No.
But there's no wide fives. I mean, they went back and forth with the whole single lug nut, you know, like the Indy cars have, which, you know, again, is a lighter tire and rim.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the restrictor plates, so they pulled them off of there. I mean, because if they didn't, these cars would be approaching 300 miles an hour.
Well, and yeah, especially on the super speedways.
Yeah.
You know.
So, I mean, but ultimately, that's kind of what you're looking for. But when you have, like, I'm going to say, because you got the, you know, the Xfinity series, and then you have the other series, they're not that far off.
No, they're not.
They never was. Even when you had the Busch,
right.
and you had the Grand National, the Busch Division, whatever, in the Cup Series, it was like, what the difference was, the wheel base on the cars was a little bit different.
That's it. Yeah. And the horsepower was a little less.
Yeah.
That was it.
And for the most part, it was the same chassis anyway. Well, it used to be a Cup car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so really, what was the difference? Because they had a little different horsepower.
Yeah. Hey, in post-race inspection after Martinsville, NASCAR fined four crew chiefs for lug nut violations. Crew chief from Car 3 of the Richest Childress Racing, Danny Stockman Jr. Car 36 of Front Row Motorsports with crew chief Mike Kelly. And Car 47 of JTG Dougherty Racing, crew chief Tristan Schmidt. All were fined $10,000. And the fourth violation was the Kyle Busch Motorsports number 51 crew chief of Ryan Fugel, and he was fined $2,500. Big difference between $10,000 and $2,500. But that's the difference in the series.
Lug nut violation? Were they finally making their own lug nuts?
What it is they have to be torqued to a certain amount, and if they're not and they're loose.
And they check them after the race?
Right after the race. First thing they do. They do the spoiler, lug nuts.
Really?
And then they look at to make sure the tires are the right codes. Oh yeah. So and again, you know, it's one of those things they look at.
And here I thought they were making their own lug nuts.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to take a break.
Go with the coarse thread lug nuts so that the pit stops are quick.
See, the rule used to be they had to be on. Now they have to be a certain. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some things that are going on in the Whelen Modified Tour and the K&N Pro Series East when we come back.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back, everybody. Yes, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour will be heading to South Boston Speedway in Virginia this weekend. They're going to put on a good show. The Southern guys were in there a lot when they had the Southern Modified Tour. And I worked the K&N Series race there a few years back, and wow, the place was like, that place had history. That place had history. It was a really nice racetrack. It was, you know what it was? It wasn't one of those, you walk in and say, wow, this is a pristine place. It's, oh, you walk into the place and you're walking into history. And I had a great time working that event with the K&N guys, and it was just, I mean, they honored their past with the grandstands named after people and names on the wall, and it really was a nice place. And I wish I had the opportunity to go to this race, but it's just not in the cards. There's just too much going on the next 2-3 months. So, but you know, with the modifieds, that has become one competitive group of drivers. You know, Doug Colby, Justin Bonsignor. When you think of Jimmy Blewett driving the Gershel car now, when you think about these are winners. There's winners in the top 12, proven winners in the top 12 in points in that series right now. And other than maybe 4 or 5 competitors, the other guys could win on any given day with the right circumstances. Yeah. And you know, when you see that the difference between the pole sitter, you know, the guy who starts first in the race and the guy who's starting, you know, 18th is 0.2 of a second. Yeah. That's a burp. That's a hiccup. Yeah. And those guys are on it constantly. Oh my God. You know, and they're no joke. That's serious. I mean, to me, that's pretty serious racing. You know, side by side. Unbelievable. Do they touch? Absolutely. But do they touch in a way that you see in some of the local short tracks where you're trying to ride a guy into the marbles? No. These guys, you know, it's come a long way. Can't really do a lot of touching. No. Got a lot of tire. Yeah. You know, and all you got to do is tap a tire. Yeah, you got all 4 tires hanging out there, like there's no fender to lean on, and and you just touch something a little bit, and with rack and pinion steering, you know, they're not meant for bumping and grinding. If you're going to hit somebody, you got to use the chrome horn. It's just funny to think how the modified drivers came to be, especially with open wheels. Yeah. Of all NASCAR divisions, I mean. Yeah, it's the oldest division in NASCAR. It's the only open wheel division. Yeah, the only open wheel division. You don't see, you know, Indy is all open wheel, but. And those guys, boy, are fast. 600 horsepower in the grace of God with those guys. And I had the opportunity to drive a modified, not in competition, but to drive it. And I actually had some nice lap times when I did it. And, you know, visibility is very difficult because you have your little windshield here, and you have a very large motor in front of you. A very large motor with a very big air cleaner here. And you're sitting basically with your butt like 3 inches off the... Yeah, in between the chassis rails. Off the drive. Yeah. Off the... Oh, yeah. And you're like in a... You can't move between your Hans device and the way the seats are today, the full containment seats, and your legs are... The first time I drove a modified... But actually, the G-forces. Oh, yeah. Actually, the second time I drove a modified was John Fortin's modified at Riverhead Raceway. And I felt like I was sitting in my dentist chair, except I was strapped in and couldn't move. You were laying back? tilted back. It was weird. I was a straight up person, but
yeah. Well, those seats come a couple of ways.
Yeah.
They let you go a couple of ways. I don't know. I'm a straight up kind of guy too. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? I like to lean back, but somehow or another, when I race, I pull on the straps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wind up sitting.
I see some guys, it's funny when they were racing, especially at my local track, and they're up on the wheel like this, driving, and then on the caution, they're sitting back like this. What are they thinking? Are their belts that loose?
I don't know. My belts always seemed to be tight, but everybody would say when I was into it, they could see a space between me and the seat. I don't know how they did that.
Really?
How do you see that when you get all the side stuff?
Yeah, no.
How do you see that? Probably because of the headrest, maybe.
That could be. Anyway, K&N Pro Series East is off this week. They'll be headed to South Boston, Virginia for a race. That's another place. I worked there with the K&N as well. And I'll tell you what, they put on a good show there. They put on a real good show there. And it's one of those tracks down in Virginia. One day I heard one of the team owners saying to me, yeah, we're gonna head to South Boston in 2 weeks. And I'm thinking of Massachusetts. I'm like, there's another track in Massachusetts?
Is there a North Boston?
I was like, So I guess that's why South Boston is called South Boston, because there's a Boston up here that's Boston, and they wanted to be Boston, but they couldn't, so they had to be South Boston. That's what I'm thinking. I wasn't around when they made the zip codes and the town names, but
makes sense.
It made sense. It made sense. Like there's York in Europe, and then New York. Kind of similar, maybe? No.
Yeah. Old York, New York.
I guess because there's a Hampshire in England and there's a New Hampshire. Little, maybe I should start another show and call it, geography.
Fun with flags.
Fun with flags.
Wait a minute, that's taken.
And our buddy, who really should become a marketing partner with us,
Sheldon Cooper.
He sent us, I love this, he sent us a little press release blob. New York's own John Visconti III and his wife Marie Visconti, they just announced they secured sponsorship for the Visconti Motorsports K&N Pro Series East car for Bristol, and it will begin in Bristol, and the Gander Outdoors Truck Series truck at Dover, both driven by Brandon McReynolds. Northwell Health has signed on board as a corporate sponsor for Visconti Motorsports.
Okay.
That's big. That's big. Yes. And TPR, a worldwide entertainment marketing company, has also signed on as well. IGA is still on the car, but got to understand in racing is business. And if one guy's giving you, and I'm making up numbers, 300,000, and he had the whole car. And again, I made that number up, so don't be saying, well, no, you're wrong. And then another big corporation, a worldwide corporation, comes in and gives you like $1 million, again, a made up number. Who's gonna get the biggest spot? I'm thinking the $1 million. So again, I don't know what the deal was, and I don't need to know, and nobody needs to know except the Viscontis and their marketing sponsors. And when you look at that, that's, with Northwell, that is a non-traditional sponsor. It's not like they're hoping that somebody gets hurt and they're going to get business from it.
Sure.
They're looking to get their name out, positive public recognition.
Does Northwell Health have hospitals throughout the country?
Yes. They are big.
That's what works for them.
They are big. And just from what I see, they are buying up the little people, the little hospitals in the little towns to become part of their network group. And you see them everywhere. Jones Beach Theater here on Long Island is Northwell Theater at Jones Beach.
Well, it makes sense because there's a lot of Northwell hospitals here on the island, but I just didn't know how far they reach.
Yeah, and so congratulations to the Viscontis on that deal, and then it's funny that we tease sometimes offline how he really should become a marketing partner with us. And,
check is in the mail. And
share the wealth, as we say. Only kidding, but as my son says, behind every joke there's a little bit of seriousness. So, but it's nice to see a local guy moving up the ranks, the right way.
And doing well.
And doing very well.
That's great.
You know, we've had, you know, guys from Long Island that have gone into the Cup Series. You know, Stephen Park for one. You know, when you look back on, you know, some of those guys, they were racing touring series, and boom, they got the call. And I think if it wasn't for Stephen Park's injury at Dover, driving for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, he would have had a real good career.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for those who don't remember, Stephen Park was in a violent crash under caution. He was just sitting there under caution. And
hooked to left, hooked to right, and went right into the wall.
And got blasted by somebody who was not, whatever, paying attention to the caution or was trying to get down pit road, whatever the case was. And he was in bad shape for quite some time. In fact, my understanding was he was hit so hard that his eyeballs were on his cheeks. They got pushed out of his head. You know, there was no Hans device and stuff like that back then. So, and I remember he had trouble talking for a while. And I, maybe a year or so after that, I was talking to him in the morning. You know, this is Stephen Park. I'm talking to him in the morning, and he was like, okay, it was all good. And then later on, when the races were over,
after the accident.
Yeah.
Well, I think his accident was also before Dale's.
Yes.
It was before Dale Sr.
Yeah, it was.
But
it was a
I
tough
remember
thing.
being at Jack Merkel's, and he was there. And he's like, somebody keeps calling my cell phone. I called my cell phone. Keep calling my answering machine and leaving a message. This is Dale Earnhardt, call me back.
Yeah.
And finally he called the guy back, because the last message was, you know, if you don't call me, you know, why you avoiding my calls? Come in, call me back. Anyway, turned out it was Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah.
He had people watching him, and he wanted them to come drive for him.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
He flew him down there and showed him around the shop, and that was it. He was driving.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and you know, there were guys that moved from Long Island up into some touring series, but, and those out there, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't recall too many local guys from like Isis Speedway, Riverhead Racing, that made it into the Cup Series. I just
as
don't
a driver?
recall. Yeah, as a driver.
There's tons of crew guys down there.
Tons of crew drivers.
Tons of crew guys.
Tons of crew drivers. You know. Anyway, we forgot Jay Slice. I see he's in the chat room. He's back. He had some stuff going on. So, you know, welcome Jay Slice. And he's the last holdout in the chat room, I think.
In the chat room?
Yeah, he's the last holdout. So thank you. And again, you know, he's been, you know, busy with games and stuff. So I'm going to take the opportunity to again thank him for his help at the Marty Himes
Museum.
And,
he was our outside coordinator.
Yeah, he was a good. He was out there.
Traffic and crowd control.
He was out there with his walkie-talkie, making it happen. And you know, and I'm inside talking to Marty for like 2.5, 3 hours, and I didn't have to worry about the outside because I knew Jay Slice had it all under control. That's why he was my crew chief for a few years.
He had it all covered.
I didn't have to worry about nothing. Didn't have to worry about nothing. And I'll never forget, he walked into my shop, and all that was in my shop was chassis rail, roll cage, motor. And practice was like Saturday. And his brother said to me, you think we're going to make opening day? Because there's 2 weeks of practice, so, and then a week, so that's 3 weeks. I said, opening day? We're going to be at practice next week. We didn't do any overnighters. I got the body on, and he showed up the following week with his father and his brother, and they're like, did you like stay here every day, every night? No, it's like building a puzzle. Rear quarter, door, fender, hood, roof, trunk. He'll tell you, I wish we had pictures of that happening because nobody believes it. But Bob Finan, who was the PR director and the announcer at Riverhead, he stopped by the shop one day and he goes, you guys making it out this year? I said, we'll be there practice day. And he left laughing. Who had the last laugh? Some guy with 2 thumbs. This guy right here. Anyway, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll be talking about stuff, racing stuff, and anything else that you guys want to throw at us when we come back.
Hey guys, this is Jibs from Ocean's 8 Alaska, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Rich Willie. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're a punch in the But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
What's up, guys? This is Assuming We Survive, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
So we're back.
Welcome back.
You know, talking about playing the violin during the break. And you're going to wonder what that has to do with racing, but...
Has nothing to do with racing.
Nothing. You know, so we're not like single-dimensional people that only do racing stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Like, you play the guitar. I play the drums. Well, you know, I played for 40 years. But I could pick up the sticks and go right back out.
Yeah, but when was the last time you played guitar?
The drums? 2 summers ago.
2 summers ago.
I did,
When was the last time you were at a racetrack?
you know, I only went to 4 races last year, and I usually go to 50.
So there you go. Moral of the story?
Yeah, the moral of the
Yeah,
story
you know what?
is-
The racing hasn't done it for me. It's been a little lackluster.
Yeah, you know. Because, you know, we used to go, and, you know, like you and I, we never missed a week. And, you know, we weren't racing. That's what we did. You know, and you raced other places, you know, Pocono and places like that. So,
I did.
You know, I pretty much stayed on Long Island.
You hit a couple other tracks.
Yeah,
Showed up to Flemington, there was no race.
yeah.
That was a long day.
Yeah, Flemington was a different. I went there once.
It was just round.
Yeah.
You really never, there was no corner, you just keep
Nope.
going.
It was just like a circle.
Yeah. The race of champions in Flemington.
Ah.
Thompson was kind of cool.
Yeah, I like Thompson.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. That's like that was a super speedway for us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Until you get up to Pocono. And then that's a real super speedway.
Because you guys raced on the big track then.
We raced on the trioval, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had it to ourselves, so we went out and did some laps on the trioval in it was a 1975 Chevy Nova.
Oh,
And you get up around 130, 140 miles an hour, and you see the hood buckle up because there was absolutely no aerodynamics there. So it was, you know, the typical Novas you saw at the short track, you know, with the hood, with a bumper, with a radiator. That was it.
That was it. So
That's all you had. You had Nerf bars, little Nerf bars coming off the front of the bumper. You know,
thing
the
starts
Camaro
vibrating.
bumper. It was actually, literally, it was hopping. I go into turn 1 at Pocono, and the car was hopping.
Wow.
Back and forth. And you knew you had to slow down.
Yeah.
You did not want to hit the wall with that thing.
No.
You know, but it was just a thing that we did was,
Yeah.
you know, it was supposed to be just an exhibition, if you will.
Right.
And we were out there exhibitioning.
Exhibitioning.
Yeah, exhibitioning. And we were having a blast. And honestly, we had slicks, you know, 8-inch slicks. There was we weren't running any kind of special tire or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we're out there just... got up around 140 miles an hour.
Nice.
You'd think for a Chevy Nova. It's the first time I think I ever put that car in 4th gear.
Really?
Well, it's 1-1 in fourth gear. Normally you race in third.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't go to fourth gear.
That's true.
I mean, could you imagine how fast you'd be doing in fourth? And I think we were probably in fourth gear, probably around 5,000 RPM max. Never got up to 70. You couldn't get up to 7,200.
No.
You would have been probably, you know, that car would not have, the aerodynamics on the car wouldn't have done.
No. And even, you know, you go in those kind of speeds, the engine's really got to be balanced, because you get to that speed and you're out of bounds. Things start vibrating.
Well, we did take into consideration that. You got to keep in mind, you know, you got a fluid damper, which is balancing the motor, and you're running 7,200 RPM anyway in third gear.
Right.
So it shouldn't change the balance of the motor, but we did make sure that before we went there, we balanced the tires. Because ultimately, when you're in a short track, you just slap those tires on there.
Right. Yeah.
And you really don't think about balancing them. And I got news for you. One of the things I think that most people miss when they're short track racing is balancing the tires. We never really balanced the tires when we did short tracks, but I just wonder what kind of an advantage. If you actually took if you could, you know, because I'm that kind of anal kind of guy, you know.
I never noticed that.
That I was an anal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't figure it out, huh? Because if you took the car out and you ran a couple laps, came back with some times, came back, I mean, just a couple of laps, nothing that you're going to burn the tire up, and then come back, balance the same tires, go out on that same short track, and then run those times again. You know, run those laps again and see what kind of times you come back with.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't believe the amount of weight that they had to add in order to balance those tires. They were brand new rims, brand new tires, and they were so far off, it was unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah.
So I always had problems like
They put them on the front, they put them on the back, they had them all banked up. I mean, it was terrible.
You know, in the figure eight world, you're beating and banging, and I didn't realize how bent some of my rims were, and you know, until I had it up on jack stands and you're just spinning the wheels, and you see it doing this.
Wobbling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know one of the things that you do when you you know, you're racing, you buy the lightest rim that you can, because you know, the less on spring weight, the better the car is going to handle. So you know, you could go to an ultra light. I mean, you know, a lot of these sprint cars.
Yeah.
You know, sprint cars. We're doing sprint cars.
Yep.
They're running ultra lights. You know, because they're light cars to begin with, so they run really ultra light rims. So you can get them, and but you know, you sneeze on them and they bend.
Yeah.
You know, so you throw them away.
Yep.
But you know, when we were running a racing rim, it wasn't even like it was, you know, junk. It was a good rim. But it was amazing the amount of weight we had to stick on. And the guy's like, you know, you use one of these weights and it's not going to be balanced anymore. I'm like, well, we're going out there for an exhibition thing. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not going to be doing any of that. No. You know, we ran Pocono not only on the tri-oval, but we also did the road course there as well. Yeah, so we ran with the Maseratis and the Ferraris and the BMWs and you know, when you're in the drivers' meeting there, and it's interesting because we were the only full race car in that, you know, at that track that day.
Right.
You know, where with, you know, these are all doctors and lawyers and everybody who's
You had to put a tail light in or something?
No, absolutely. No, they had the drivers' meeting because they wanted to tell everybody the car with the 52 on the side does not have brake lights. Even though we had decals on the back.
Right, yeah.
They wanted everybody to know that the 52 does not have brake lights. And the guy standing in front of me who was racing, he had a BMW that he was racing. And he's like, I see you coming. I'm getting out of your way, man. That car looks scary.
We're getting the one to go at the lines here.
Yeah.
So anyway, just real quick, the Cup Series will be at the Texas Motor Speedway Sunday. The Xfinity will be there Saturday. And the Gander Outdoor Truck Series will be there Friday. So I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules and spending a Monday night with us. So I don't know what people got going on this weekend, but there's a lot of racing going on. So wherever you're going, please be safe, please be careful. Give somebody a hug, tell them you love them. God bless you all, and good night.
And play a violin or drums or a guitar or something.
Exactly.
So that you're well-rounded as well.
Just like us.
Just like us.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Take care.
Radio.